Thanks, Ryan. Dave, where you at? Will you mute yourself, Ryan? Thanks.
Yeah, you tell me.
It looks like the Coliseum in Carson.
Good. Except the Coliseum in Carson can have a roof,
Oh yeah,
so
that's
there's
right.
that.
Where is everybody? I thought you guys sold out. Was there a panic and everyone ran out?
It doesn't start till Wednesday.
Oh shit! No wonder I've been just sitting in front of my TV. What do you?
Actually, that's not true. That's not true. The age group starts tomorrow, Tuesday.
It does start tomorrow. The age group, and what do you mean by age group? You mean
No,
old
I mean
people or young people?
tomorrow's Monday. So the age group starts on Tuesday, so 2 days from now, not tomorrow.
And age group is old people or young people?
Everyone, it's old, it's young, it's also adaptive this year, age group and adaptive.
Okay. And isn't it weird to say old and they're only like it starts at 35?
Who said old?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird that you say old. It is weird.
And you got people like Hobart, Zach Forrest, Kyle Kasperbauer. You got just beasts in there.
I know, 35-39 division is stacked. Your
Well,
boy
you've
Dan
been
Bailey's in that division too.
who?
Dan Bailey, the guy who used to sleep on your couch.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember him. I didn't know he's still around. Um,
Yeah,
do you ever watch the Masters or the kids or the what did you call it? The modified?
the adaptive. Yeah, during the past few years of games, it's been hard because they overlapped at the same time with the individuals and teams where we're going. But since we're going back to it, we're using a different format this year.
Yeah, because I remember. I'm trying to think of a good metaphor here, but in the years that I was there, any event I was there, you were not looking at the same thing I was looking at. I would be watching the competition, and you were like, you're more like a person who's like what are those people called? Florists, people who arrange flowers. You seem more like that.
I'm looking for the correct execution of the workout, the judges doing the right thing, the bars in the right places, the floor playing out. I'm looking for it all just coming together. We have a plan for it before we even do it, and I want to make sure that's happening once it's started.
You used to, because of the position I was in, there was a lot of back and forth between us, and you could say, I think it would be very fair to say there was a lot of tension between us, my team, and the media, and you guys running the show. There was a lot of tension in terms of placement. Like you would be yelling at us, you would tell
Oh
us
yeah,
not to
yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
somewhere. We would try to
Oh
push the
yeah, yeah.
boundaries of where
Our
we could
events
go.
are very unlike most of the other events you see. A lot of the events in this space, a lot of the other CrossFit events, are very liberal with their allowing of cameramen to be on the floor. We have a fixed number of cameramen on the floor, and we have specific places we want them to be. And that line very we don't waver on that, and that's something I really push hard for on my events because it can you can look down at a floor and see bodies everywhere. Already you see bodies everywhere, much less adding additional cameramen, adding cameramen doing those fucking zoom in shots. I'm so over. All these experienced and budding cameramen in CrossFit are fucking doing these ridiculous zoom ins, like, and they think they're fucking being artists and shit. So, look, I'm not looking for that in our events. I don't really like seeing cameramen getting in between athletes, cameramen, and I've seen it happen where they get in the way of athletes. So we have clear guidelines of broadcast cameras, and then on the number of essentially call it documentary or behind the scenes or additional cameramen.
You guys
One
do not. You guys do
typically.
not do behind the scenes. So be careful with your just use throwing out terminology like that. Before
When was the last time we did it behind the scenes?
2017. Um, let me. I want to go back to that about your critique of the cameraman, but first I want to ask you this other question. In the years past, you have been very. It's kind of a double-edged sword because as being in the media, you want to get close. You're always trying to push the rules of what Dave Castro and team will allow you to do. But on the other hand, you've always kept the pits so amazingly clear. The media access that we did have was amazing. You gave us the front row seat, and you didn't let any like VIPs or anyone else in there. It was strictly for media. Are you still that strict about the pits? Is it still a great place for a photographer or a video guy?
We have media pits that, yeah, are absolutely a great pit for the filmographers and for the video guys. Really, what I was is like on the floor access. On the floor access is super controlled. pits and around that, we have great areas for the videographers. On the note of the pits, we've had requests lately for special access for people to get into the and view from there. That's another thing that's different with our event versus other events. We don't the pits aren't a viewing area. The pits are a working, and the people inside the pits, I'm looking at them now, are either doing scoring or they're doing judging or they're part of the team running the event roles. But it's not an area to spectate from, and
W-
so.
What do you mean people wanted access? You mean like Danica Patrick's or Tom Brady's or WWE wrestlers like those kind?
Danica's never asked. Actually, she's never asked for. She comes to the games every year, and she's never asked for access. And Danica, honestly, is arguably, probably, the most famous person who comes to the games. I
And
now
since she's on, and since she's only
she's
4'6", she wouldn't be in the way.
she's she's a I don't know. Is she a household name? I mean, I almost think she is, but I don't quite know if that's true. But she's very popular in the world in the U.S.
I know her
And
more
she
from the
just
GoDaddy campaign than from her car racing.
maybe most do, but that's also still a piece of her popularity.
It's
But
interesting
she
that
never
you
asked for pit access.
it's interesting that you critique the camera work because you're not a cameraman, but yet there's also people who critique your cutting of athletes. You know, after 9 events, there's people who critique the events you choose. So I guess it goes both ways, right? You don't stay in your lane, and the fans don't stay in their lane.
Well, the difference is I'm not getting on social media and screaming about the cameramen and how they do their job. That's the difference. Or complaining or posting comments or making a big deal about it. When I have an issue with the cameraman, what am I doing, Sevan? I'm going to
Just
the fucking cameraman and I'm telling him, hey,
no, you
get off
send
the
over one of
floor.
your fucking goons, and they go, "Hey, Dave says if you want to stay in the event, he better not see you standing there again." I would be
Okay.
told that even when I was the executive media director of CrossFit. You'd send over a thug and warn me I'm going to get kicked out. Um,
Oh, that's good.
Tremblay or Scuds? I know it's early, but do you have any
Scuds.
regrets in putting in the rookie Allison Scuds as the DTC demo team captain?
She's not a rookie. She was on the demo team a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And so this is her second time on the demo team, but no regrets putting her as the DTC. Like, helped me test a lot in Aromas, and she really worked hard, and she really took initiative, and she had a lot of characteristics and points of a leader that I like to see, and I appreciated that, and I respected that. So I wanted to give. It's a gamble, and it was a gamble I'm happy with making, and that she deserves the role. So.
You were always notorious. Part of your reputation at CrossFit was always to promote within and to give people opportunity that maybe other people didn't believe in. You really believed in people, and so you know you're living up to that. But you're also
It's
very
interesting too, on that believing in people. I it's believing in them and believing also in giving them the chance to rise up, to rise to the occasion. And I think oftentimes we sometimes don't allow people the opportunity to rise to the occasion or fall. And I'm willing to take that chance on people more so than I think others sometimes.
And on that note, I warn all of you who have aspirations to work close to Dave. He is a prickly cactus, and if you do work closely with him, be prepared for super duper high levels of expectations. I'll ask you again about Allison Scuds as the week goes on, and we'll see. We'll see. The jury's
Well,
still
you're
out.
making an assumption now that we're going to do this on a regular basis. I'm kind of wavering on that concept, but we can play it. We'll play it by ear.
What was the
Don't
what?
call me. I'll call you.
I know the rules. What has there been any fallout since this announcement of cuts? Do you have any regret? Are you taking any heat?
No regret. The heat I've taken has been the comments I've seen and talked about online. It's interesting. People are very passionate about the sport, love the sport, and the athletes, and they have their ideal expression of it. And when their ideal is shaken, or their ideal, or their way things should, or their perception of how things should be done, it's not working that way. They get really emotional and upset. And in the case of some of these athletes and coaches and whoever, um, yeah, it's like it doesn't comport with their vision of should go down, and that's this the real world. This is real life. They don't run this event, and they don't understand everything that's going on, and they don't understand why those things need to happen, and and people get emotional. It's all right to get upset and emotional about things, but to say reckless things or to say to plant this seed, like I said, like it did, to plant a seed that it's a way of disrespecting athletes. Again, I said yesterday I wouldn't tolerate that, and I'm not tolerate that. I won't accept that for a second because it has nothing to do with disrespecting athletes. But people get upset over things not. And here's the thing: you go to a basketball game and you know exactly what you're fucking getting. You go to a football game, you know exactly what you're getting. You go to the Olympics and most track events, most events at the Olympics, you know exactly what you're getting. You go to the CrossFit Games, every year it is changing. Every year the events are changing, the tests are changing, the format is changing. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, this for months, we've known we're going to have cuts and it was going to go down. And last year we had cuts. We had cuts because of what was going on. We had to cut down to 5. The year before, in 2019, we had cuts. There was a couple of years, 3 or 4 years, where we didn't have cuts. And then before that, we cut every year. So cuts have been pretty routine part of this event. Now, you get here or you hear there's cuts and you're really upset because in your mind, as an athlete, as a coach, as a fan, I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't like, that's not my ideal of how I expected this event to go down. And so it's disruptive of their idealistic view of how the competition. It's you should almost, and the thing is, like, again, I just don't want to feel like I'm hitting this and beating this up. Wednesday they do 4 or 5 events. 4, I think it is. 5, whatever. Thursday they have off. Friday they have a full day of competition, and then we drop 25%. It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. They're getting 9 events. They're getting more events than you would at a semifinal.
Um, you, one quick thing, note here, some feedback for you, some constructive criticism. I don't mind if you gesticulate with your right hand, but the one that's holding the camera, try not to like gesticulate with that one, because that's the one that we look at you through. You know, it's interesting. What do you think the fact of the matter is that it's such a heavily participatory sport, meaning that so many of the fans participate, and that's why there's such strong opinions about it. But people like me who don't really, I don't even like, I don't participate past the open. I don't really care about if there's cuts or not cuts. I'm just there to watch the games. You know what I mean? So I think the people you're hearing from are like some of the people that might be butthurt. It's because the fact that they have games aspirations, right? But I don't think you're hearing it from the fans outside of like maybe someone's mom or dad or coach. Once again,
Well, I don't know.
I think
I'm
it's
not
the
paying attention to like the loud ones. Like I see the loud ones, and that's about it. But I'm not paying attention to a lot of them. And
um
I think it's kind of swung. I'm seeing a lot of support for the cuts.
prior to this, the months leading up to this, you were having a pretty strict diet of meat and avocado. Is that correct?
It's not a diet of eating avocado. I'm really low carb right now. I'm eating a very low carb diet, high on fat, trying not to be as high on protein. You could unwind that and say you're trying to do keto. I'm not trying to do keto. It could be like someone who's doing keto is, but I'm not calling it that. I'm just eating a really low carb diet.
And how many months have you been experimenting with that?
It's probably been 3.
And are you able to maintain that while you're there at the
Yeah.
Madison?
It's super easy to do. It's super easy. I mean, I went on this shooting trip to Wyoming, and it was a competition that 6 Hour put on, and there like there was decent food. There was really good food. Went out on the field for breakfast. There wasn't good breakfast. There wasn't really good options. But even on a trip like that, I made it happen. I just ate the protein. I ate butter last night. Scud was making fun of me because last night at dinner I was eating butter just straight off the butter with my fork.
Oh, a lot of people are gonna make fun of you for that. Good job.
But it's not hard to do. It's not hard. I'm enjoying it and I'm performing better. I feel better. I'm also doing it because it's like, you know, community. The athletes are super influential, and you see how they eat, and they eat the top athletes eat very differently than a low carb diet. I talk about this with Scott team, so this isn't new to them. And they eat a very high carb diet, and some of them are even fat high carb, and it's kind of antithetical to what we preach and teach the average CrossFitter or to the average person who is worried about their health. Um, and I think, and I believe, and I see it's influential on the wrong people. So whereas the athletes are eating a really high carb diet, because Matt eats Snickers all day long. I mean, you and I should be eating Snickers all day long, you know. And I think people think, okay, well, I did my CrossFit workout, and I can have a Snickers now too. Now, look, I'm not shitting one's eating. If you want to eat that way, fine, go ahead. But for health, just like we understand for people who need to improve their blood markers or maybe lose some weight or just improve their overall health, um, they're probably better off restricting carbohydrate,
Or
reducing
middle-aged Mexicans,
carbohydrates.
or middle-aged Mexicans like yourself who are heading into their twilight.
Yeah, exactly. Restricting carbohydrates is a good idea for most people, and the way the athletes eat is very different from that, and arguably because they have to because of their volume. But the wrong people, I think, hear that message, see that message, and then try to apply it to their lives.
In Matt's defense, I don't think he's doing the Snicker bars anymore. Um, Dave,
I don't care.
Dave, tell me about the first event. Have you let them know that you've been misleading them and that it's not a paddleboard and that you're full of tricks?
You're making a lot of assumptions there.
I know. I'm trying to get a reaction from your face. I made presuppositions on purpose to see if I can figure out what's going on with the event. Prediction that you said paddle and that you want the fans to assume paddleboard, but that it's some sort of other paddle. Have you released it? And now I'm trying to get a reaction from your face to see if and you're turning away, your brain's thinking how you're going to handle it. What are we going to see in event 1? Give us a little something.
Tomorrow night, we put out all the details for event one
And what time is that at?
at the athlete dinner.
And will that be streamed live by CrossFit Games?
Imagine.
For sure on someone's Instagram. Do you allow? Will you allow the athletes to have their Instagram lives going at the athlete dinner? Are they allowed to do that?
Yes.
Damn.
Times are
Balls.
changing, brother. Times are changing.
Yeah, you're up to date on me. It was never not okay, right?
I don't think it's never not okay. 5 minutes. 5 more minutes.
That's how much time I have with you.
Yeah.
When is the first event in the Coliseum that you're in?
Well, for age groupers tomorrow,
I mean individual.
Wednesday night.
And are you excited about that?
Super excited about that.
And which event is going to reveal the new apparatus that you haven't shown us yet? What day will that happen?
Stay tuned.
Well, that's good. Yesterday you said we were talking about whether Rich was the fittest man alive currently, um, b- and you brought up a very good point about Samuel's proximity bias since he trains with Rich. But there's been sort of a correction. You said I think that Rich was in the top 20, and some people have said, and I haven't verified this, but that he actually finished in the top 5 in the Open this year. Do you? I want to ask you again. Do you think Rich Froning could be the fittest man alive right now? Is that a distinct possibility?
Now, yes.
Great answer. Great answer. Do you have any friends with you? A couple years ago, I asked you if you had any friends, and you said yes, and I asked you to name some, and we never got to any. So I'd like to revisit that. It's a very stressful week for you, I'm guessing. Not stress in a bad way, just a lot of moving parts. Um,
I don't want to like give me some good shit. I don't want to talk about my fucking friends. Like talk about the games. Just refocus. Ask me something I give a shit about. What do you want me to? You want me to share with? You're my friend. Is that what you're saying? Like, move on. Next
Not at
question.
all. Not at all, buddy. I don't want to pigeonhole you. I'm just trying to figure out if Dave Castro has any people are interested. People are interested. There was a comment saying that because that you were
I'm gonna
unaware.
hang up. Ask. Get
I
back on track. Get back on track.
okay. Um, there was a comment saying suggesting that because you didn't know Rich finished in the top 5, that that somehow made it so that you weren't the right person to program the games.
That's exactly why I'm the right person to program the game because like so many of the commentators, so many of the people who follow the sport, I don't boy out over this thing. Like I have a very like I don't follow the athletes like that. I'm not looking at their numbers. I am always seeing where they rank in things and paying that close attention. I separate myself, and I definitely don't become a fan. So that I think is not a negative. I think that is a very powerful position to be in.
I
And I
agree.
see all the time commentators and people who cover the sport and people come cover the games. They become enamored with some of these dudes, and it's a talk about proximity bias. This is not a proximity bias. This is a performance bias. This is a bias, and you like in interviews and how they treat them and how they put them on a pedestal that they let that get in the way of their almost journalistic integrity. I mean, we even when we were doing some of the update shows and stuff, the way some of our people would talk about the ad. All right, we get it. It's really impressive, but like, chill out. Like, and a lot of things that I respect and appreciate what they do and how they push the envelope, but I don't fanboy out over them. And
Would you
and I actually think a lot of the people who cover the sport shouldn't either.
would you say that I ever fanboyed over them?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
I,
Miko,
true. Guilty.
Everett,
Guilty. Guilty.
you had your significant Rich,
Guilty.
Dan Bailey.
What is
Okay.
that on? What is that on your shirt? What are you wearing? What is that? Vortex.
Vortex. It's a Madison-based company that makes scopes for weapons,
I want to talk,
pistols.
but before you go, because I know I can see you're getting your trigger finger itchy. I want to talk about what you wear during the games. In years past, I've seen affiliates like throw affiliate shirts down to you from the fans, and then you just change your shirt. And you've been notorious for just wearing as many affiliate shirts as possible. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, sure. All right, thanks. It's been fun.
Bye. And that, my friends, is the Dave Castro live from Madison, Wisconsin. I can't say how thankful I am that he did that.